Hi everyone, it's your girl Ayana. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today's video is a piggyback off of a previous video that I did. That video was this self-inventory video. And if you missed that video, a quick recap of what a self-inventory is it's a tool to help you become the best version of yourself. And what you do is take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle of it, one side positives in your life, the next side the negatives in your life. And your goal is to obviously get those negatives into the positives, so resolve those issues, solve those issues, and get them into the positive so they no longer have a negative impact on your life. And during that process, hopefully, like I said, you're become the best version of yourself. Alongside with doing that, you will start to identify some characteristics that have been detrimental to your growth. And toxic behavior is what it is that has really prevented you from living your best life. I try to stop calling them toxic behavior and more so call them toxic superpowers, just because I try to make a positive out of everything. It's just easier for me to digest positive information than negative. And I call it superpower because it just reminds me of superhero storylines where the superhero has this talent or ability they haven't mastered, but they are using it and it's destructive in their life or to other people. And then someone comes in and saves them or teaches them how to use those talents for the betterment of themselves and the community. Once they have that mastered, then they can really become that superhero. And that's a lot like how I address correcting toxic behavior. Like once you identify it, you know that's part of who you are. You work on fixing it so that you no longer are negatively impacting other people's life or yourself. So now it's something that you can use to continue to strengthen yourself. Like you have identified, you've worked through that problem, that characteristic, and it just makes you a better person. So that's why I call it a superpower. And they're hard. I will be completely honest. It's hard to admit when you haven't been the best person. It's hard to admit when you've been a villain in somebody's storyline. And I can honestly say that I have been. I don't think a lot of people, but I know I have absolutely have been. Not probably my proudest moments in life. Definitely embarrassed. But the good thing about it is I don't have to keep playing out those roles of the villain anymore. I can be the superhero. So during the process, like you're going to identify those. And for me, one that really just popped into my head immediately is my communication. And more so in relationships too, is where it was a big issue. I know in relationships, I'm a terrible communicator. If somebody offends me, hurts me, I won't say anything. What I will do is silent treatment and passive aggressiveness, ignoring that person. When you're in a relationship, you can't ignore your partner. You have to engage and communicate. But that's not how I operated. And that's not why I probably wasn't successful. But in that process of kind of isolating myself and being passive aggressive, I start to brew, right? And now I'm getting angrier and angrier. And even my partner may ask me like, what's going on? I can tell something's off and I'm going to tell you nothing's wrong, right? Because the other part of me is I don't like confrontation. And for some reason I picked up that standing up for yourself is confrontational. I'm working on that, but that's something that I just am. that way. I don't like confrontation. Even things that I don't necessarily think are going to be big confrontational things or will result in a large confrontation, I just don't want to deal with it. So that the thing that I do is, like I said, be passive aggressive and let those feelings grow in me until I have an emotional explosion. And it usually is over something really small. Like, say your spouse leaves shoes in the middle of the living room and you say all the time, pick your shoes up and put them by the door. And today you come home from work and you see that and you're just, why are you doing this? You just go off for shoes in the middle of the floor, right? But we know that's not the root of it. The root of it is whatever they did to offend you. But because you did not communicate, you've made it a bigger issue. So you just dumped on your partner. You've said probably mean things. You probably yelled, acted totally inappropriately. And now you feel better though, because you got that energy out, right? You got to dump on them the way you feel like you were dumped on. And now your partner is upset, right? Because I'm sure your partner would have wanted you to communicate this from the very beginning, and definitely in a mature and healthier manner than exploding and being rude and mean. So now your partner is not talking to you, right? What a funny turn of events. The next thing that I hate to admit, but what I would do is I wouldn't apologize. Would not apologize at all. And I'm definitely going to do a video on apologizing because I don't have a problem with it now. I wouldn't. And I would just like get over it. I would expect them to get over it because I was over it. That's disgusting. Like I said, I'm embarrassed and I'm working to not do that anymore. But that's how I was, that toxic. Like toxic. That's why I know I'm a villain in somebody's storyline. I just know it. So that was just one of my toxic superpowers that I was willing to share. Trust me, I do have more, but I think I've embarrassed myself enough for one video, and I will address those in privates. But I will tell you though, I have already started to see positive changes in my life because of working on dealing with these toxic characteristics and improving them. I've seen differences in my family and relationships, all for the better. All for the better. And that then encourages me to keep going, to keep striving to be the best version of myself. So I want to challenge you to do the same, to jot down your toxic superpowers and work on plans to correct them and address them. I know it's going to be tough, right? Nobody wants to face their flaws, but you don't always have to be the villain. Sometimes the villain becomes the hero. And that's how I'm trying to end my story, as the hero. So I would love to hear those toxic superpowers and what you're doing. So if you feel comfortable, drop that information into the comment box. And before I let you go, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If this has been beneficial to you, I want to hear about that as well. It's important that we as a community support each other. And if you need support along this journey, definitely reach out because I want you to be the best version of yourself, right? So until the next time, please be safe, be true, and be authentically you.